and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's main event, the Eating Leather Podcast, sanctioned by the Sports Narrative Network. Let's meet the combatants. In this corner, weighing in at a svelte 300 pounds, Brian, the paper champ, Henning. And in this corner, weighing in at 195 pounds, your host and cruiserweight champion of the world, Dynamite, Darren Boyd.
Missed it. Alright, gentlemen, I want a good, clean fight. I want both of you, good, clean show. You know the rules. Touch gloves. Let's get it on.
Welcome.
I don't know why that went away, but you're good. Go.
Welcome to the Eating Leather Podcast, Boxing Podcast. I'm your humble host, Dynamite Darren Boyd. I'll be joined soon by our co-host, the Paper Champ Brian Henning, and our esteemed producer, Jeff Bowers, a.k.a. The Sports Narrative. Now, that intro music made me want to get some glow sticks and break out some Benny Benassi from 2000, but that's a whole nother conversation for a different podcast.
Damn you, old.
Well, today, we're going to rock some boxing notes to start off the show. We're going to talk about the big fights coming down tonight. We got a special movie review from Mr. Henning that I can't wait for, and we'll get on out of there and get on down the road. Without further ado, fighting out of the red corner, the paper champ, Brian Henning. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, boxing friends. How are you?
Fired up for tonight's fights.
Oh, man, it's going to be a good one. I can't wait.
Mr. Bowers, the Sports Narrative. How are you, sir?
I am well. I am just twisting and tweaking here my little butt off and trying to get things going here. There I am over in the tiny corner. Hello. Looking forward to a little boxing. I heard we had a big week of news, so I know nothing about it, so let's get it on.
Let's do it. Well, Brian, start us off with a little news and notes.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to cover from the last 2 weeks. I know last episode we brought Elf on for an interview, so we didn't touch on a lot of news over the last couple of weeks, but there's a lot out there. I think one of the bigger pieces of news would be Triller winning that purse bid for the Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos fight. What do you think of that, Darren?
I believe it was $6.2 million. That's the record for a purse bid, to my knowledge. That's insane.
Yeah, massive. Matchroom came in at second with $3.5 million. Top Rank came in at $2.3 million. And right on the heels of that, you've got Teofimo coming out saying he wants to meet with a lawyer and get out of his Top Rank deal.
Yeah, Bob Arum's having a little rough patch as far as keeping Crawford and Lopez in line. It's the business of boxing now.
It's not a good look for them, man. A couple of their top two fighters are trying to break free. So I don't know what the future of Top Rank is going to be, but we'll see.
Now, how much is that influenced by, like, obviously the pandemic and by what's going on, or is it just the fact that they can't get these fights set up?
I think that's most of it. I think it's it's their top fighters are not getting the fights that they want. Top Rank can't make it happen. They can't work it out. So.
Is that because that guy's 1,000 years old? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Darren.
Financially, without the live gate, some of these fights just don't make sense. I mean, if you can't put 30 or 40,000 people in the seats and get $15-20 million on your live gate, that's a huge percentage for the fighters. And doing it out of a bubble, which is coming to an end, which is another thing we're going to discuss here in a minute. Mm-hmm. But Top Rank perseveres over the decade, so they'll be all right.
Does it have anything to do with it? How will it do when Bob Arum finally dies at the age of 1,000?
He's the Tom Brady of boxing. He's Lestat from Interview with the Vampire. He's not going anywhere.
Perfect.
Darren, do they have like an heir apparent, a guy that's a clear replacement for Bob when he goes?
I believe it's Todd. Forgot his last name, and I apologize. He's been running the show behind the scenes for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
And
we'll see. Maybe with the changing of the guard in the future, we'll see them have more success with making fights. Well, while we're on the topic of Triller, you've seen Mike Tyson's been out on social media, posting that he's ready for another one. He's ready to go. He kind of teased that he didn't really go all out with Roy. He's looking for somebody that he can really
no kidding.
Someone that's not going to get gassed in the first or second round. Evander Holyfield makes sense. He's out there. He's been training for like a year now. Looks like he's in good shape. I mean, that's a pretty natural matchup, I think. The
would
two
make
fights,
money. Sadly,
people would pay for it.
But Holyfield's 57 years old, and probably not a good idea to get in the ring. We're gonna touch on another older fighter that's making a pay-per-view comeback here in a minute too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would generate some buys, that's for sure. I'd tune.
Damn it. we can never get away from the best era in boxing in our time, I guess.
Yeah, best heavyweight era.
Yep.
Even though it's 2021, we still tune in to see 50-something-year-old men who have no business being in the ring, getting in the ring.
Yep. Well, while we're on the subject of over-the-hill fighters, Manny Pacquiao talking about, negotiations are close with Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia might be the next opponent. If not, they're also talking to Crawford's camp. So what do you think of a Mikey Garcia fight? What do you think of a Crawford fight?
I would like to see Pacquiao go in a total different direction and avoid either one of those guys at his stage of his career. But Garcia would be a fun fight. I think Crawford would wipe the floor with him in a devastating way. I got a funny Mikey Garcia story for you later on too, but I guess Pacquiao's been on continuing his career, and like you said in our last show, he's still not washed. When he gets the right style of guy where he can counterpunch, make him look good, Garcia would be that type of guy.
Yep. I just don't know if there's a draw for Mikey Garcia and Pacquiao. What do you think? I mean, do you think that would sell tickets or pay-per-view buys?
Yeah, it would generate I could see doing a couple 100,000 on pay-per-view. I couldn't see it being a mega event.
Yeah.
But
maybe if it was paired up with something else, like a co-main event.
1.2 million pay-per-view buys. So you know what the boxing public's gonna do.
Yep. Well, they've also teased a Devin Haney, Jose Linares fight coming up. So that's on the horizon. Also got Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola coming up on Fox pay-per-view. That fight doesn't really excite me too much. On that undercard, though, that Sebastian Fundora, that 6'6", 147-pound welterweight prospect, up-and-coming guy, he's intriguing. Have you seen him fight yet?
He's got wingspan beyond belief.
I know, and he moves pretty good for a kid that's 6'6", too. I don't know how he makes weight at 147. That kid's a giant.
One of the rumors floating around this week, too, is your beloved Crawford versus Sean Porter. Does that excite you?
Yeah, for sure. If I can't have Pacquiao, I mean, I think that's the fight that makes sense, right? He's not an over-the-hill guy. He's a fighter who's in his prime. Styles make fights. I think it'd be an exciting fight. They can both box, but they both fight, too. They both got a mean streak in them, so I think we'd see some serious fireworks if those two got in the ring together.
Well,
I agree.
I was going to say, just as the layman here, I would say that the idea that, I think Bud Crawford would absolutely destroy Pacquiao. So, to me, that doesn't intrigue me nearly as much as a guy like Porter, as you said, an up and coming fighter that can make something happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another story that seems to drag on and on, like the Dak Prescott negotiations, is Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, which when we did our show last week was supposed to be signed, sealed, and delivered. We were just waiting on the I's to be dotted. now Fury's saying, you know what, this isn't anywhere near close. I'm not going to train anymore. In fact, I'll show up after 8 pints of an adult beverage and knock Joshua out in the second round without training. So, you know, with Fury, you never know what's legitimate. Like, even Fury says, hey, you never know what's coming out of my mouth, it's the truth or not. But it seems to be close to be getting done this summer. But at the same time, you know, it's boxing. So
depends on who you talk to. Bob says it's a done deal, and Hearn says we're 1 or 2 things away. And, you know, you don't really know what to expect from that one. I don't know. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I hope he doesn't go after Wilder again. We've seen that roll too many times. There's no excitement for him in that fight.
That'd be a tough sell, man. And he already, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, he came out and said he'd never fight Wilder again, no matter what, you know, because of his antics for the fight. So that'd be a tough one to sell. I don't know how they'd market that one.
Well, one of the other rumors floating around this week that hits home for me here in Dallas, Texas, is that Eddie Hearn said Canelo may fight at Cowboy Stadium in front of 70,000 fans, as the great state of Texas and its wonderful governor, detect a little sarcasm, has decided, well, you know what, let's go ahead and open everything back up 100%. Don't worry about the mask. Let's put 70,000 fans in Cowboy Stadium, and everything's going to be fine. So...
yeah, why not? The pandemic's over, boys. We made it.
Yeah, we did. We all survived. I mean, this is great. A little skeptical.
Burn your masks, buy a ticket, show up in full force. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll peel off a couple $100 of that stimulus check coming out next week for that Canelo fight, because that'll be fun.
That's what I'm talking about.
My last notes for us is it was announced yesterday, as I sent you gentlemen a text, that the Julio Cesar Chavez, my 4th favorite fighter of all time, Senior, is returning to the ring against Hector Macho Camacho Jr. in a pay-per-view extravaganza in July in Mexico, where his son, Chavez's son's going to fight on the undercard, and his other son Omar is fighting on the undercard. It's a Chavez celebration day, and
it's a family affair.
I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, it's a family affair, man. I think Senior's probably still a better prospect than Junior. What do you think?
Absolutely. Junior makes my one of my biggest busts of all time. He just couldn't get out of his own way, wouldn't train. Rumors were when he fought Sergio Martinez, he trained for a whole 2 weeks for that fight. And if he actually trained, he would have won the fight, as he put Martinez down in the 12th round and should have had him out. But then his career has been derailed by out of the ring issues that, you know, we're a family show, we won't get into too much.
Yeah,
See,
I like his hair.
You think the old man can win that one?
I would never bet against the old man. He goes the body. He may make Camacho quit like his dad did. Well, his dad went to... It didn't end well for him.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Any other news and notes we got?
Nope, I think we pretty much touched on everything I had down here.
Excellent.
All right.
Well done. All right. Well, then let's shift gears here, gentlemen, and we will transition over to a little bit of boxing and pop culture, as we have a movie review and as well as a little bit of classic boxing on TV. And I had a couple of propositions for you boys on that regard. But here, let me pull this up here and do this little magic right here. And yes, we will continue on. Ah, crap. I killed everything. See, this is the problem with all of this stuff, is like everything disappears on you, and then you have to go back and find it. All right, well, there it is. Let's continue talking a little boxing and pop culture here on the Eating Leather podcast.
Yeah, so last week, Elf was gracious enough to join us while we were talking a little bit about...
Go ahead, you're good.
Well, we were talking about, his family legacy and Grandpa Al Mitchell being an announcer at Madison Square Garden for decades. He dropped a little nugget that his grandfather was actually in a movie, Requiem for a Heavyweight. I had to go digging on that one, and I found it out there on Prime for a pretty good deal, so I picked it up. I was curious. It was an interesting movie. The star of the flick is Mountain Rivera. Movie starts out, he's in the ring fighting Cassius Clay, so you get to see some kind of cool first-person action of what it's like to be standing in front of Muhammad Ali and what it's like to take a beating from him.
That's awesome.
So they wrap that up. He gets knocked out by Ali, goes back into the locker room. He's a mess. He's back there with his manager, Maish, and trainer. Doctor comes in, checks him out. He's totally out of it. He's concussed. And kind of like the storyline for Rocky, kind of what his predominant issue is after that fight is an eye injury that they're concerned about. So they tell him he's done. He can't fight anymore. They said if he takes one or two more shots to that eye, he's going to be blind. So after that, the story kind of progresses, and it's about Mountain Rivera trying to make a new life for himself after boxing. They put him out to pasture. He gets hooked up with a girl at like an employment agency trying to find work. He kind of becomes romantically involved with her. Kind of another side plot that's going on throughout the movie is the fact that his manager, Maish, who's played by Jackie Gleason, actually bet against him in the fight. He bet that he wouldn't last X amount of rounds, and he stood in there longer than they expected. So he lost a bunch of money and cost this other guy who looks kind of like a mob boss or something. It's a little unclear. I don't know if he was like a bookie or if he loaned him the money or what their dynamic is, but he gets in trouble with them. And as the movie progresses, Mountain Rivera's trying to make a new life for himself. Maish is his manager of 17 years, but he's actually kind of working behind the scenes to kind of sabotage his new ventures in life and trying to become a professional and get a regular job and get him back into the action somehow. It ends up being like a wrestling gig, like a WWE of the 50s that he tries to pull him into. I don't want to spoil the ending for you guys. You should go out and check it out. It's a pretty cool movie. There's another fun cameo in there with Jack Dempsey in his later years. They go to a club or a restaurant that's owned by Jack Dempsey, and they sit down and have like a drink with him and hang out. So it's cool. It's nostalgic.
Are you boys interested in the trailer here?
Yeah, roll it.
At Thrivent.
Oh, we have an ad. Blah, 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 blah. That's stupid. I hate everything. All right. Let's see what we got. Here we are. I have no sound for this trailer, apparently. But at least there's a trailer. And
Scintillating.
Yeah, scintillating. It's great for the audio podcast. I don't know why this. There's Anthony Quinn as the Mountain. He is in an elevator, looking very beat up. Jackie Gleason as Maish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Got the mustache going. Mickey Rooney as Army. Oh, a very older Mickey Rooney, and Julie Harris as Miss Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Requiem for a Heavyweight. That is awesome. All right. Well, sorry I don't have any audio for that, but yeah, it looks like you can find that on Amazon for $10. So go figure.
Go pick it up. It's pretty good. Pretty good for its time.
Excellent.
I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Brian. And I had a little bit of a thing for you boys. Let me pop myself back up on here. And so this week we had the 50th anniversary of the fight of the century. Ali Frazier won. And did you guys, either of you, watch it on ESPN2?
I didn't catch it on the ESPN2 re-air, but I did YouTube it.
Darren?
I have seen that many, many, many times over and over. So I did not see the fresh, updated version.
I was going to say, what was great about this was the presentation. You know, you had actual boxing analysts on, and they were talking about kind of breaking down the fight as it went along, and it was a really great presentation, I thought, in the way that they did it and the way they presented it. Apparently, they were doing more, because I was seeing last night they had Ali Frazier 2 and a couple other fights on ESPN. So that's kind of a cool thing, and it's nice to add that into the pop culture mix. Here was my observation, though, as we look at that, and that is the amount of punches that those two guys threw for heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, I will pose this question to you: if any heavyweight currently going was as active as Ali and Frazier in that fight, would they win simply and as long as they don't get knocked the F out?
Yeah, I mean, probably, you know, the perception of a guy being that big and throwing that many punches, I think the judges at ringside are going to see all that action and assume that he's naturally going to be ahead in the scores. You know, more punches thrown, more punches landed. It never hurts to be a volume guy and impress the judges that way, you know. And I mean, we don't necessarily have the best crop of judges in the history of boxing right now anyway. You know, we've seen some pretty questionable scorecards out there in recent memory. Yeah. I mean, I think it would definitely influence the judges, and I think it would be in your favor to do that.
All right, boys, here's the actual numbers on this, and I think you'll find this fascinating as I pull this off of CompuBox off of Twitter, at CompuBox. On this day, Frazier versus Ali combined to land 708 punches. 365 of Joe Frazier's connects were with power shots. So that's 63%. They threw 1,524 punches in this fight.
Wow.
Yes. So
100 punches around since it was a 15-round fight. That's insane.
Amazing. Like I said, that was the thing about it, is just the activity that you just flat don't see anymore in the heavyweight ranks especially. But even now, starting to get up in some of the, you know, we've talked about a couple of these fights where these guys are, you know, feeling each other out, and, you know, they usually doesn't get start swinging wild until you get way down, which I will say, it's why you boys like those lighter weight guys, and I do not. But it's because, dude, there's a ton of action, right?
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Yeah, the typical heavyweight fighter these days is throwing 30, 35 punches around. It's they're just loading up on power shots. A volume puncher would be amazing. I think the last heavyweight volume puncher, as we touched on last week's show, was my beloved Ike Ibeabuchi. He throws 70 or 80 with bad intentions. And I haven't seen that kind of volume from a heavyweight in a long time.
No doubt.
I think Joshua could be that guy. I mean, he's you know, excellent condition. He's got length. He's got pretty good skills. So I mean, he could be that guy. He could take that approach and that strategy into a fight. It's something I'd like to see.
He's got good conditioning when he doesn't wear 50 pounds of armor into the ring.
Yeah.
and wear his ass out before the fight even starts. Yeah. Awesome.
I can't remember. Was it the armor or the water or the egg weight in the glove? Or I don't remember what excuse.
Wilder has all kind of excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Wilder.
Yeah,
that's
his
right.
water
Not
was
Joshua.
spiked. Yeah.
What was Joshua's bit? His was something else, right?
He doesn't. Nah, he doesn't have a. He just comes into the ring with a robe on. He doesn't have anything.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a special bit.
That's right. It was Wilder that
I
had
don't think he really made too many excuses for that Ruiz fight either, did he? I mean, maybe immediately following the fight he might have said something, but it seems to me like you know, when he reflected back on the Ruiz #1 fight, I think he basically just said, you know, he kind of wrote him off and didn't take him seriously, and he didn't approach it the way he should have. So I mean, he owned up to it. He didn't make any excuses.
Well, this week he backtracked, and I went after him on Twitter a little bit because he said well, that wasn't me in the ring. And I said, well, it sure was you in the ring getting knocked out. And I got a lot of funny feedback on Twitter from that comment. A little snark, but
Yeah,
I understand. He's, you know, in his mind, he probably rationalized he had an off night, and you know, he avenged his defeat against Ruiz, and we'll see what he does against Fury here in a couple months.
Yep.
Hopefully. All right. We got anything else in that realm? We want to move on to the fights that are coming up.
Oh, it's time to talk boxing tonight, sir.
Mm.
All right. Oh, I got to turn that back up. All right. Woo, that's loud. All right, there's the bell. You boys talk about tonight's fight.
Well, tonight we got Chocolatito, Ramon Gonzalez, here in Dallas at the AAC versus Juan Estrada. I have a funny AAC story for you boys real fast.
All right.
So 2013, I went to see Mikey Garcia and Juanma at AAC, and I was with my 6'8", 300-pound monster of a man friend, Ryan. We bought $30 tickets, and he's like, watch this, just follow me. I was like, okay. We walked all the way to ringside, right behind the HBO crew, and stood there the entire night and watched the fight from ringside. Got to meet George Foreman, Jim Lampley, Max Kellerman. No one came up to us and said a word. We didn't have credentials. We didn't have anything. We just stood there. That was my Mikey Garcia Juanma story.
Boy,
What were they going to do? You brought your bodyguard with you.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, no one's going to mess with him.
You talk about a different time.
The sad thing was Juanma had his wife and his kids with him, and they come running down the aisle after the round. I mean, barely into round one, just crying hysterically because you could tell he's fighting off his heels. I mean, it wasn't going to last long. And they came running down the aisle, just crying, both of them. I was like, that was a tough watch, but the rest of the night was fun.
So, I looked up because obviously a nickname like Chocolatito is kind of great. So I looked up a little bit on Ramon Gonzalez. So, from Nicaragua, 33 years old, he is the first boxer in history to win world titles in all 4 of the lowest weight classes, as he's got minimum weight, light flyweight, and super flyweight. So if a stiff breeze will blow him over. So the story goes, let me pull this up here, that he says, when I was 14, I met Alice Aguelo. He was a great idol for all of us there. So he had a gym, and that's where I started boxing. You know,
Alexis.
Oh, go ahead.
Alexis.
Oh, you're right, Alexis.
You said Alice.
I did. Alexis Aguelo. I was trying to not screw up the second name.
It's all good.
He says, you know, we come from a boxing family, and everybody when they start mostly my father. When I went to the gym, Alexis Aguelo gave me the nickname Chocolatito because his dad was known as Chocolate. So
Okay.
he's Little Chocolate. And that's how he got the nickname.
Well, he is 50-2 with 41 KOs. He's one of those exciting volume punchers, very heavy-handed for his weight, even though he's 115 pounds. Like you said, at age 33, there's some concerns that he may be slowing down a little bit. We're going to let Brian touch on the first fight they had. This is a rematch that's taking place, unfortunately, 8 years after it happened in 2012. So there's a little more wear and tear and less tread on the tires than the first time. But Brian, you gave us you watched the first fight last night, and what was your opinion of that, sir?
Oh man, that first fight was an absolute war. I loved that fight. It was tremendous action from start to finish. High punch volume thrown from both guys. Super exciting, complementary styles. It was just fireworks from start to finish. It was a great fight.
Are we expecting that this time around?
I'm not. And if we're wondering what's going to happen in this fight, I guess I'll just throw out my prediction. I think Estrada is going to avenge himself from the first one. I think Estrada is going to win tonight, and I think it's going to be by knockout.
Wow. Well, Estrada 41-3 with 28 KOs. Now, he has avenged every loss he's had except for Gonzalez, which, of course, is taking place tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He is a minus 160, and Gonzalez is a plus 140. So that's pretty close to even pick'em fight right there.
Pretty close, yeah.
I think Gonzalez has slowed down a little bit. I've got Estrada pulling out a close decision tonight.
Interesting. So, in other words, when ESPN put out the article that told me that Gonzalez is a plus number and that maybe I should put a bet on it, they're just trying to get me to put a little action on this thing and lose, huh?
Yeah, $10 to win what, $14? It's not too bad.
Well, there you go.
Hey,
And
that's
for
a
our
point from winning a bag
non-gamblers
of
out there,
chips. That's worth it.
Yeah.
yeah, for our non-gamblers out there, when we say minus 160, if you were to bet $100, you'd have to bet 160 on Estrada to win 100, and you'd bet 100 on Gonzalez to win 140. So when we do a little boxing odds for you gentlemen and ladies that have never bet before, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and you get your original 100 back. So basically, you're risking 160 to win 260 total on a minus number, and on the other number, you're betting 100 to win 240. So you see why the plus odds are better because it's less of a risk and whatnot, but that's also betting the underdog, right? So that makes sense.
Darren, what do you think? Do you think we'll see any late money coming in on that one? Do you think we'll see that line move at all before the fight?
I would expect Estrada to pull ahead a little bit because typically the Mexican fan base is a walk-up live gate. When they're going to gamble, that money comes in real late night of the fight, and you'll see the odds swing a little bit. I would be surprised if he didn't go off at minus 170, maybe even minus 180.
Oh, so you think before it's all said and done, you think Estrada will be favored?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that. I mean, the first fight was amazing. For me, I think what gives Estrada the edge in this one is, like you said, he's avenged every other fight he's ever lost. He had amazing heart, man. He took a beating in that first fight. They both did, but he showed great heart. I think he still moves really well. I don't think he's slowed down. I don't know if we can say the same about Chocolatito. It was pretty even in the first fight. What I think they scored it, was it 118, 110, 116, 112, 116, 112, I believe. So
that is correct.
It was unanimous, but it was a close fight in the first one. And I think 8 years later, I don't know if Chocolatito is going to be as quick or as sharp as he was in the first fight. So that's why I give the edge to Estrada.
Especially a couple of years ago, he had that devastating knockout loss to, I can't pronounce the gentleman's name that he fought to save my life, but that's a tough knockout to overcome.
All right.
2 wars with him.
I have a full list of odds here for you, gentlemen.
All right.
This is courtesy of the Oregon Lottery scoreboard odds, so, take that for what it's worth. Will the fight go all 12 rounds? Yes is a minus 230. No is a plus 160.
Oh, I'm taking a yes.
Brian?
I could see it for sure. But I'm predicting a knockout, so I'll say no.
Well, if you were picking a knockout by Estrada, you would get a KO, TKO, or DQ is a plus 335. So
Woo.
it's a nice little payout. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Estrada by decision is plus 130. Chocolatito by KO, TKO, or DQ, or submission, plus 500.
Yeah.
And,
Well, if he gets a submission, that will be the most shocking boxing story of all time.
and
I think if he gets a win, it's going to be by decision. He's not gonna put Estrada down.
well, and him by decision is still a plus 250, so not too shabby. Is there anybody else on the rest of the card that you guys like? I don't know if you've looked at it, but
Yeah, I mean we've got 3 international title fights on one card tonight, right?
Yep.
Is it Kayaguchi and Vega? They're fighting for
junior flyweight, WBA junior flyweight.
Yep, junior flyweight. We've got McCaskill and Brekus, and they're fighting for all the belts for the welterweight.
Rematch.
Yeah, women's
Yeah.
welterweight.
Welterweight.
McCaskill's a champ. We think she holds on to the titles there, or?
Yeah, I never got to see their first fight.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I haven't seen the first fight. I'll probably go back and check it out today before I tune in tonight on DAZN to watch this card. But, yeah, I mean, for all the belts, I mean, they're both motivated, so should be fun.
And then the super undercards, Austin Williams and Aaron Coley in the middleweight. If you guys got anything, just speak up.
Continue on, sir.
Otha Jones III versus Jorge Castaneda in the lightweight rounds. And And
Not
then,
household names.
yeah, and then Raymond Ford and Aaron Perez at the featherweight level. So, I mean, you never know. Like, some of these guys, you know, that's like how we found our beloved Berlanga is just a dude on the front end of a card who's knocking guys out, and you're like, well, that's pretty cool. Like, I mean, that's how these guys kind of get there. So, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get eyes on him tonight. We'll get to see him fight in that undercard. You know, I mean, Ford and Perez are both undefeated, so we'll see what they bring to the table.
Nice.
Yeah, we got another big fight tonight that we got to touch on before we get out of here, and that's David Benavidez, 168 pounds, 23-0, 20 KOs, age 24. He's a exciting fighter to watch. Unfortunately, he's had some out-of-the-ring issues that have kind of stalled his career at age 24. He's fighting Ronald Ellis, who's 18-1 with 10 KOs, but Ellis is or 12 KOs, I'm sorry. Ellis is a perennial blue-collar sparring type of guy, so he should be able to get some rounds in for Benavidez. Yeah, but Benavidez can overcome his out-of-the-ring demons. He'll be a mega superstar. I know he wants Canelo coming up, and he's got big plans, and this is a good step in the right direction for him.
Well, what he made weight, you know, and one of his worst adversaries in his career has been the scales, right? So
yeah, it's never good when you lose the title on the scales.
Yep. Yeah, no, it'll be a fun one.
Was it like 3 pounds? Or I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yep. Yeah, he was pretty far off. You know, Benavidez is a little bit of a bully. I think we'll see a lot of action out of him tonight. He'll probably try and put Ellis away early. I think he's trying to make that case that he wants to be, you know, maybe the next fight or one of the next couple of fights with Canelo. So he's going to try and make an impression and make people, you know, see what he's really all about and try and make that case for the Canelo fight.
And if he can win against Canelo, then by then, you know, you got to think if Berlanga is going to be right there, and that would be a mega fight.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yep.
Any thoughts on, since we had the great Mark Elfinot buying on last week, any thoughts on the fight, the Canelo fight from last week or anything like that? Or the week before?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a snooze fest. I mean, that was like watching a guy hit a heavy bag. You know, Yildirim didn't put up really any of a kind of a fight at all. And what it was over after the third round, right? It failed to answer the bell. He didn't come out for the fourth round, and they called it.
Yep.
Yep.
He ran to the bank, as you said, to cash his $2.5 million.
Yeah, man, he got his money.
That was an embarrassment.
Got the heck out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Canelo. You know, if a guy doesn't want to fight, a guy doesn't want to fight. There's nothing you can do. Just
Can't
put in the workmanlike effort, get him out of there.
He showed up. He did what he was supposed to do. He fought his mandatory. So now on to Billy Joe Saunders.
All right, I am going to throw up the one thing that I always ask. I've asked Darren this before, and he gets kind of mad every time I do, as I'm pulling up music here. Which is, all right, Mr. Henning, at your current weight level and conditioning, assuming we put contacts on you and you didn't have to fight with glasses on, could you walk into the ring against a 115-pound Chocolatito and at least hold your own and not get knocked out? Could you knock him out? Could you win that fight?
No.
At least you're honest.
I like to think I've got a pretty good head on my shoulders. I don't.
You've got two bills on him. Like all you got to do is land one punch.
I don't have any amateur fighting experience. No professional fighting experience. I will say, in 2 weeks I'm down 13 pounds. I'm working out and I'm dieting, so I'm trying to get in shape and
he's
going to
make me redo the intro. Damn it.
Yeah. So I'm in camp, but I'm not ready to fight.
All right. Well, I mean, you got 200 pounds on him. You just got to land one punch, man.
I'll go the Fury route, man. I'll just lay on him. I'll lean on him. I'll wear him out.
Exactly. Well, you'd have to catch him, which might be a problem.
Yeah. Then he hits me with one shot in the liver, and I'm down on the canvas.
There is that.
Well, you may drop the equivalent of his weight by the time you get done with your special diet and get back into fighting shape.
Yeah, it's no joke, man. I mean, like I said, I came in at the beginning of the show at 300. My goal is to get down to 215. That's where I feel good at. So I
Very
got a
nice.
ways to go, but I'm motivated, man. I'm feeling good already.
Well, that is awesome. Well, on that bombshell, I think we are pretty much done, unless you boys have anything else.
Nope. Tune in tonight. You can see the Benavides fight on Showtime. You see the Chocolatito Estrada fight on DAZN, so that's where you can catch those two fights. I think the Chocolatito card is going to bring a little bit more excitement to that Benavides fight, but check them both out. They'll both be fun to watch in good boxing.
Excellent. Darren, you want to take us out?
To the paper champ, Brian Henning, our esteemed producer, Jeff Bowers, aka the Sports Narrative. I'm Dynamite Darren Boyd. Thanks for tuning in this week. As always, keep your gloves up, protect yourself at all times. And hey, be kind to others. You have no idea what they're going through in life. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, now the real fun begins. Dance party.
Glow sticks!